Anxiety, out of all of the conditions, is the most physical.
Oh, okay.
And that's why mindfulness is so important. It seems like mindfulness is thrown around everywhere, but back to, like we said, you have the structure, you're with your class, right. I'm with you right here, right now, and I'm only here right now.
Right.
What I say to my students, and I'm saying to you, I say to myself, in this moment, I can handle anything. It's even so much in our house. I'll say to my husband, okay, don't tell me anything until the day of. Because what happens with anxiety is this anticipatory anxiety. Yeah. So that's another hallmark of anxiety. It's two things. You're anticipating and you're second guessing what just happened. And that's going to show up in your body, Catherine. It's going to show up in your body. So if in this moment, I'm going to give you sort of two things. I want you to, you don't have to say it out loud. I want you to think about something that is anxiety provoking for you. If you want to say it out loud, you can. What makes you anxious?
Yeah, and I think I will, just because I think it's important for whoever is listening to this or watching this to kind of see something. So I'm going to say something that is very specific that's happening now. Because I know myself, I need to go take a trip by myself, away from everybody, and just be alone, right? So I planned this road trip, and it's supposed to be happening, I'm looking at my calendar, it's supposed to happen Friday. I was supposed to go from Friday to Monday. But my daughter has a friend who found out that his father is in the ER because of COVID. She hangs out with this friend frequently. So he's waiting on his test. She's going to get tested today. This has brought up a little bit of anxiety and not knowing what to do. Do I wait to hear back about whatever? Do I still go on my trip? I really need to go on this trip for my own sanity. But now I'm feeling like, well, I don't know. Because, I don't want to be part of the reason why things are spreading. So, yeah, that would be an example, like real time.
Real time. And I'm going to ask you to real time. Yep. And tell me how this shows up in your body.
Yeah, I feel, I never know how to explain it, but it's always like something right here in this area, like my stomach area, where it's like, whatever that is.
Okay, you want to know what part of that is because serotonin is a neurotransmitter that calms us in the same way that heroin calms us. Not that we're familiar, but so in the same way that if you have a really good meal, pasta, you feel calm after. Yeah. But the opposite of it is that you have less serotonin during anxiety-provoking events, so it shows up in your stomach.
Wow.
So that's
amazing.
So the more that you can tune into your physical nature and what you're craving more than anything is freedom.
Right.
And for me, in a similar situation, I feel like I was locked in a casket that's been buried like 6 feet under.
Same. I hear you.
Right? So you probably don't even feel like there's oxygen in the room.
No, I'm like, I have to get out and go somewhere.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You get a phone call tomorrow morning. When's your daughter having the test?
Today.
Okay. So then it's
an hour.
It's sped up. Okay. It's happening. Okay. And it 24-hour result. Tuesday morning, take a deep breath with me. Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, you get the phone call. She gets a phone call that she's COVID-free.
Right.
And how does that feel in your body?
It feels very calm, actually, especially that breath. Yeah.
And so what happens is that with anxiety, we sit with the what ifs. We sit with all the things that have been taken from us. We sit with the pain, the anger. And it's not just that, it's everything piled on top of that. And it becomes very focused and very specific. And it's like, what do I do? So it becomes a conflict, morality issue, a mother issue. Because all these things, right? It becomes bigger than it is. And the stakes are high, but you actually make them higher. I mean, we're talking about life and death.
Yeah,
you're not
like
just
literally.
Life and death in it. You're, what kind of mother am I?
Right.
What kind of, like all these what ifs.
Yep.
And so that all lands on you in a very quick moment. Yeah. And the antidote to that is what it all is. It's in your mind. It's only in your mind. Is that you take the same mind and you anticipate the best possible outcome.
So you flip it.
You flip it. You absolutely flip it. You flip it. And that's where your creativity comes in.
Yeah.
That's where your creativity comes in. And so what you're in is the in-between.
Right.
So not only, right, you're not only in the in-between, pre-COVID, post-COVID, there's no post-COVID, this is our life, right?
This is it, yeah.
This is it. And so, but you actually are in the in-between right now waiting on the test results.
Right.
So part of it is finding the antidote to situational anxiety is realizing that you, Catherine, have had the power all along.
Right.
You've been in the in-between. I mean, what's worse than getting a Ph.D.?
Nothing. I want everyone to know you have two people here telling you nothing is worse.
So if you're in it, we relate. And we can do a whole separate one on the imposter syndrome. So in that moment, you've been through so much.
For
You
sure.
write about so much. And you need someone like me because we can never see it from the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It is physical because you felt it in your stomach.
Yeah.
But all the same neurotransmitters are now flooding your body with, damn it, I got it, girl.
Right. Thank you for that, Dr. D. That is very, very, I like how this is why I wanted you on, because you really know how to like break things down so that they are not like way up here.
Yes.
And so that we can all just take a breath, flip those words.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody who's listening can relate. There's something that they're waiting on. They're waiting to find out if they're going back to work. And this is what situational anxiety is, okay?
Right.
Like you can have 100 things in the day that you're waiting on. So now we're moving into what's called the strategies. And I really believe in strategies that are sustainable. And part of, as you say, break it down. This is the beauty of us being educators is that we're able to watch our students.
Right.
You know, we can see what clicks. And when my students are around, like my husband is an accountant, psychology is not his most interesting thing in the world. So when I say something and it clicks for him, I write it down because he's like the everyman. And I was trying to find with Dwight. When you get his attention, my husband's name is John. You write it down, right? So you want things that are sustainable because you want to be able to repeat it. So for example, when you're in the between, you tune into the physical part of your body. Mm-hmm. You understand that as terrible as the outside feels, it's really what we do to ourselves.
Right.
Because what we're doing is we're re-victimizing ourselves.
Right.
And then right? And so the number one thing that I'll start with sustainable is we put a time limit on it.
Okay.
So we put a time limit on it. So a lot of people will say, well, if you're going to put a time limit on my pain, if you're going to put a time limit on my suffering, are you not respecting me?
Right. Yeah. How do you do that?
Me? And so 2 ways of looking at that. Number one is I honor you so much that I know your strength will always be bigger than your stress. So if we only have an hour together, then even us for 15 minutes, 20 minutes together, but just say if I in a coaching situation or in the classroom or with my friends or friends, I want to get to our dreams. I want to get to the fun. I want to hear about the road trip. It's going to be one damn amazing road trip. And the other part of it is actually what's called the Hebb's law. And it's the idea that neurons that fire together, wire together.
What is it called again?
It's called Hebb's.
Okay.
Hebb's law. It's out of McGill University. Okay. And it's the intersection between neuroscience and psychology. So Hebb, Hebb. And the idea is that if we keep repeating our story over and over again, so let's talk about Black Lives Matter too, and racial trauma, because I honor it. I witness it. And this is, you can speak to it more than I do. Yeah. But I also want to hear, Dr. G, about your families overcoming. Right. So you talk about whatever it is. So even like a student who comes in that failed the test. We'll talk about that you failed the test, but really we're an hour together. Let's spend 45 minutes getting you better for the next test. Right. So the idea of Hebb's law is that the more that you keep wiring into the I'm not enough, I can't do it, you just essentially it's actually reinforced the trauma.
Yeah, and you cement it, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see some people, like even like as you mentioned, with your writing, it wasn't reinforced a lot when you were young, but it was reinforced later. So you want to make sure you reinforce the right story. So you put a time limit on it, even with your friends, you say, we're going to talk about it for 10 minutes. So whatever, listen, we're all in COVID. Right. We're all surrounded by, let's just even use that as one thing. We're all in that together. So we want to put a time limit on it. We're going to talk about what is it awakening? Right. What are you noticing in the course of a day, Catherine, that you wouldn't have noticed because pre-COVID? What is new for you?
I'm not sure. And this has been an interesting question to kind of answer. I think I've written about this before too, especially at the beginning. I think because I'd already set my kind of world up a certain way, now it kind of fit so that I'm like,
for your online, because you're online teaching.
You're right, because I teach predominantly.
And people have more respect now.
Well, that has happened, and it's been really hard for me not to say, see, I told you guys.
I know.
But I have, in some ways, like the college that I work for, they reached out to me to ask advice. I've been able to help other people, like other K-12 teachers too, have better online communities, I suppose. So in that way, that has been kind of beneficial. I think too that I'm able to see my family a little differently because I'm seeing them every day, all day.
Right. Careful what you wish for.
Which is why I need this trip. No,
yeah, of course. And the thing is, and when we talk about situational anxiety, you are ahead of the game because another coping mechanism is know thyself.
Right.
So
right.
You know what you need.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is actually one of the strategies I introduced, which is neutralize.
Yeah.
And so anxiety is really an overstimulation of every part of our body. So you see the butterflies, right? So you can see it in your stomach. It's overstimulation of your brain. It's overstimulation of space. It's overstimulation of everything.
Yeah.
So that one way of neutralizing, and even for you, it's as simple as just getting away, even for 45 minutes.
Right. Right. And so now I think I can answer your question, is that it has really reinforced that idea of how much space I really do need so that I can be a better wife, mother, and even friend. Because there have been some things I've turned down with friends because I'm like, no, I really need to be by myself. So it really has kind of helped me to know myself even more, I think. Yeah.
No, you are standing in your power.
Yeah.
Because you have no choice but to stand in your power now.
Right.
Because you have such limited space. So, for example, this is the only interview I'm doing all summer.
Oh, wow.
Right? And yes, it's amazing to see you. And in the past, I would have felt that I had to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying yes to what I want, which is this here right now with you.
Good. And I'm so grateful for that. Now this is super special. It was already really special. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And then let's see. Let's just get one more strategy. Sure. What happens with situational anxiety and with stress? Because I really see them as synonymous in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So if we talk about a continuum, so your stress would be up to about, say, 20. Mm-hmm. Situation, if you're up to 100, 20 to, say, 75 would be situational anxiety. Both those things go away with vacation. Okay, those things go away when you go on your trip. Those things go away when the situation goes away. So let's use why they use the word situation.
Right.
It's tied to a situation. What diagnosable, which is 12% of the population, have anxiety disorder, which is twice as common in women. Anxiety disorders, is that it doesn't go away.
Right.
And they're always high.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that because you mentioned that before, and I just want to emphasize that the difference between situational and anxiety disorder is that you can be on vacation and still have anxiety.
Yes, so that would be absolutely. So you can have moments of situational anxiety at the airport. I mean, traveling down, all those sort of things. But for somebody who has a true anxiety disorder, it's absolutely crippling.
Right.
So that they would have what's called another contributor is a cognitive distortion, a magnification. Everything is all or none. And that's how you feel in this moment. You have all the symptoms actually when you're at the height of situational anxiety, when it's tied to something like your daughter's test.
Right.
That's as close as you're ever going to feel to an anxiety disorder. And you can have moments of that, but yours will subside.
Yeah, they go away.
Right.
Sure.
And see, the problem with the overdiagnosis is it takes away from the people that have the true mental illness. And we want to make sure they get the help that they need.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you made that distinction. And that's also, I can say this now because I don't think I ever really explained this out loud. This is why I talk about mental health as opposed to mental illness, because I do not want anyone to confuse. I think we do confuse the two a lot. And I always want people to know I am not the expert here. I read a lot of books and find out a lot of information. But mental health is a little different than mental illness. So thank you for that.
In the same way, physical health, physical illness. So, yes. So everybody needs mental health, which is why your mental health matters is incredible, including the people with mental illness.
Right.
So that's my specialty is positive psychology. And the idea is that I focus on strengths first. And I went to positive psychology because early on in my career, I did experience compassion fatigue and vicarious trauma, one after another after another. It's a form of PTSD, but not as extreme. And I went to see a psychologist for that and got the help that I need. And I know some good coping mechanisms. But we talk about being an empath. Like you go in, and now I know, now that 20 years later, I know how to step back.
So you froze up a little bit. Did you say compassion?
Yeah, so it's called compassion fatigue and vicarious trauma, that even mothers can experience that if, say, if they have a child with a disability. So now I work closely, I do a lot of advocacy work with parents of children with disabilities and teach them that, you know, they're not there to save. So that's why your article, your most recent blog was so interesting around codependency.
The codependent, Yeah,
that we really have a society that used to be you were a parent and now we're parenting. So everything's looked at as a verb, when in fact, one of the best things we could do is support by taking care of our own mental health.
Right.
And then getting our children to where they need to be. I know that's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But you don't always have to be doing. You're a human being.
That makes so much sense. I hadn't thought about that, that is the term now, parenting, as opposed to, and when does that ever go away then, if that's the word?
I know. So that's something for you to explore in one of your future endeavors, especially as a mom too, right? Yeah. And that I'll just...
I know you want to add more, feel free.
Well, it's that we become such an automated society.
Yeah.
So that when we were young, our parents didn't have time to parent because they were basically, right? And, you know, my mom's a psychologist too. So he's also a teacher and all that kind of stuff, but they were busy. Yeah. And so your parents are busy. And that their role was to teach us survival skills. Think about animals in the wild. So that as educators, we see students, this really relates back to situational anxiety, that what appears to them as an anxiety disorder is a lack of coping skills.
Yeah.
And so that you're actually not doing your child a disservice by cutting off their phone, by making them do the laundry, doing all those things. Right. Because what happens is we're not physically tired now, we're mentally tired. Yeah. So physical. And so we actually find problems that don't exist.
Yeah, that makes so much sense to me. Especially because I'm thinking we're in the same generation probably. So it's like a similar parenting style, even though I have.
And as soon as you say those parents, what they did or didn't do, then you stop and say, look at the values they taught us.
Right.
Look at the skills they taught us.
Absolutely.
And then as I often say to my students too, they'll say, you know what, how come my parents don't talk about this stuff? Because your parents' job is to get you to the top of the Maslow's hierarchy. So they make sure you're safe, fed, and then now you come to education, and now you come to self-actualization. If your parents gave you everything, and this is the concern with parents giving their kids everything, where is the motivation?
Yeah, where's the motivation? Good grief. Okay, well, that was good. I'm glad you veered off into that. Anything else that you would want to add that you think is important for people to know about anything? I
just want people to understand that even when they hear me speak or see my videos, that I will always honor your pain. And I will always honor your suffering. And I will always honor your disability. But I see it differently than a lot of people. I see it as your stepping stone. I see it as your wings. I see it as your path to empowerment. And so I will witness it. I will lean into it, but I won't stay there with you. Because I know that, and you know this from your own experience, that if you look back on your life, and I have my students do that when they feel like they're going to fail the first set of exams, I have them go home and get their parents to get every report card. And one of the reasons I have my covers of some of my books in here is because when I'm working on something that I just think I can't do, I look at something that I did.
Yeah, as motivation. Perfect.
So that we all have everything inside of us.
Yeah.
And that I really believe in personal choice, that my philosophy is really humanistic, like Maslow's and all of that, because the world's going to happen and it's happening, but what we really have control over is ourselves.
Yep.
And so that together, Dr. G. we are sharing the message in North America and the world that, once again, I believe way more in your power than your pain.
Yeah.
And that your potential is unlimited.
Perfect. See why I love her, you all? Because she always brings it all the way around, back full circle. Thank you so much, Dr. D. Can you tell everyone where can they find you?
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you Google Thriving Under Pressure, I have a blog called Thriving Under Pressure. My TED Talk's Thriving Under Pressure. Or you can just Google Dr. Andrea, D-R-A, you'll have it in there, drandrea.dinardo.com. Yeah. And I really believe you leave me comments, whether it be on Instagram or on my blog or any of those things. I am here to cheer you on. I'm here to support you. And Dr. Garland knows this too, that we get it back, right? So I encourage you and you feel it like it's full circle good vibes. And that's why I turned to positive psychology in the first place, because it was brand new really in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And this is how one of my coping mechanisms. I look at your strengths first, and then we get to work.
Good. That is really excellent. Thank you again.
Thank you.